All right, Reggie. Well, I don't know if you caught it, but ESPN's latest article on special teams units in the NFL noted the alarming rate of injuries that have increased over the past two seasons by 50%. Special teams plays accounted for 30% of ACL tears and 29% of muscle injuries, even though they represent only 17% of plays in a typical NFL game. I know some coaches in the article were quoted, like Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh, quick to point out the injury surge could be a temporary trend attributed to, unique roster management during that COVID-19 pandemic. And that just because of the injury spike, there isn't necessarily anything specific that could be or should be changed to the format, the style, or even the rules to place on special teams. I guess, Reggie, does it concern you when you see the spike in these types of numbers related to injuries on special teams? And if so, what can be done?
So I know there's been a lot of talk about like just getting rid of the kickoff altogether and like
Yeah.
giving the team the ball on the 20 or the 25. And we've seen that the NFL has made adjustments to kind of make the kick return a little bit more difficult. They're kicking off from a different spot, incentivizing guys to, they can wave a fair catch, or they could, just take a knee in the end zone and get the ball at the 25. And it's weird, man, because I feel like the games that I watch, guys that bring the ball out, it was always like, okay, if they get past the 20, they did something good. But now,
That's the
with
win.
it being
Yep.
the 25, like there have been times where I've watched games and guys have taken calculated risks to bring the ball out, and then all of a sudden they're getting tackled at the 18, at the 17, the 16, and you're just like, dang, now you're just putting the offense in a bad spot, having to drive almost the length of the field to score. And I think what's tough about kick returns is just the nature of them, kind of cause injuries in the first place. Like they're basically having car crashes every single kickoff. You got guys running this way full speed and guys running the other way full speed. And that's just, calls for a collision right there. Like you guys are just going to be running into each other at a high speed, and that is never, ever good. And so, it's really cool when someone takes a kickoff return back for a touchdown. Like we love like special teams touchdowns. The couple times that Kane scored touchdowns for the Vikings this year, they were very exciting plays. But at the end of the day, like, I think that they are almost doing more harm than good sometimes. And it's just tough to really justify seeing kickoffs and kickoff returns with how easily these players are getting injured by this because of the very nature of just what these plays are. Like they're more susceptible to injuries. But you look at a lot of these guys, back end of the roster guys, they stick them out there on special teams. And, if they did do away with kickoff returns, and I think it would be kind of tough for some of the players, because a lot of times kickoff return and special teams and all that are ways that players can get on the field, if they aren't able to get on defense or get on offense. So doing away with it altogether may not be the best idea, but somehow you have to kind of curtail these injuries, and that may be a way to do it by just kind of doing away with kickoff and kickoff returns altogether.
Yeah, well, I mean, people tune in because it's such an exciting play. The potential of what could happen on every kick or punt return is why people tune in. But you mentioned a car crash. It's not just one car crash. It's 11. I mean,
Several.
you got
Yeah.
11 guys running full speed, going head to head, monster running 4.40s at 260 pounds. It's a recipe for disaster. And yeah, it's probably easy to note that the lost season in 2019 due to COVID brought players back out of shape and not in top conditioning form, which in turn had a lot to do with the spike in injuries, especially that first season back. But at the very least, it's concerning and something the league is going to have to keep a close watch on for sure. Because if it happens now for a third season in a row, then there's some serious truth to the trends, no doubt. Speaking of special teams, the Vikings have a ton of new faces in their special teams rooms as we stand here today. Dede Westbrook, he's gone now. He was the Vikings' top return man last year with 22 punt returns. And his backup, KJ Osborn, he's now supplanted in that wide receiver 3 role, which tells me they'll be much more cautious about throwing him back there in 2022, hence the injuries. So that's your top punt returners from 2021, leaving the door wide open for the starting punt return position heading into training camp. Through a whirlwind offseason here, which name has caught your eye and who you're starting to maybe pencil in for the starting job right now?
Man, I put Kane back there on both of them. Why
No
not?
doubt.
Like, just put him back there on both of them. Like, if he's already doing kick returns, you know, and he's so dynamic with his speed and all that stuff, just imagine, like, him, like, reversing field or, you know, making a guy miss and putting his foot in the ground and just hitting it up the seam. I think that they should just put him back there for both of them because, like, you know, he's already shown what he could do dynamic as a kick returner and just see what maybe he can do as a punt returner. I know it's tough with those punt returns because, you know, catching the ball is not necessarily the easiest on those. I look at a guy like, you know, growing up, I was a Rams fan, Oz Hakeem. That dude was electric as a punt returner, but he could also cost the team some games sometimes because he was known as a fumbler. And sometimes he dropped those punts and gave the other team, you know, field position to take advantage. And so, you know, I know it's tough to do that. I know they drafted Jalen Naylor, you know, as a guy to come in and contribute. You know, they like what he can do. And, you know, with all those receivers and the offense being dynamic as it is, maybe a good way to get him some experience is maybe put him on punt return. Maybe he's an intriguing option. We already know he can catch. He's a receiver, and he has a lot of speed as well. He did some pretty great things at Michigan State. And so maybe that's a name that you think about throwing back there. Just, you know, as a rookie, that's a pretty big assignment. But, you know, if he wants to get on the field and make an impact right away, that may be his chance to do it.
Yeah, we head into the offseason with what I thought was maybe the best 1-2-3 punch as far as top to bottom depth goes at running back after seeing what Kenny Nwangu did on special teams specifically last year, plus Madison and Dalvin Cook. I think you're right. I think you start out just by flinging him out there at both kick return and punt return. But after that, I mean, there's about a handful of guys that are probably going to get a fair crack at this thing. Smith Marset, Dan Chisna ran a 4.32. He was brought on to be a special teams ace. Ty Chandler was brought on, another running back. That tells me they got plans again for somebody in that running back room to play special teams and a lot of it. And then you just mentioned Naylor as well. So let them battle it out, see who ends up on top. No debating, though, this punt return job is one of the few position battles that is wide open for the Vikings. Kick return, again, feels a lot simpler after, again, Kenny Nwangu went off last year, scoring not one but two kick returns for touchdowns last year, one against the Ravens, one against the Niners. His backup, though, at kick return, if he were to ever go down with one of those injuries we just mentioned, that's a lot tougher because Amir Abdullah and Wayne Galeman are gone. They were the two primary backups in the rotation last year. I think you probably go back to, again, Ty Chandler, Jalen Naylor, or Smith Marset there. We're already sitting in the special teams room, so we got to just quick talk about kicker. I know, way too early, Reggie, but Greg Joseph was solid, 33 for 38. Vikings fans will remind you he had a solid few games there and a few not-so-great games. He did miss 4 extra points, going 36 of 40 there, hence why they brought in Gabe Burkich from Oklahoma. Dude didn't miss a kick in 2018, had a monster leg, making 3 field goals of 50-plus in one game versus Tulane last year. He was also flawless on extra points, which could help him edge out Greg Joseph, the vet, for the starting kicker spot. I know, way too early, Reggie, but what's your gut say when it comes to the Vikings kicking battle as we sit here today?
You know, I think they keep, you know, the young guy around, you know, just to give Greg Joseph a little bit of competition. Everybody deserves a little bit of competition. You know, it's a new coaching staff. they don't know you from Adam, And
Right.
so they need to see, you compete a little bit, see you at your best. And look, Greg Joseph, say what you want about the guy, but he is a good kicker.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unfortunate that the misses that he's had have kind of cost the Vikings a little bit. And, I guess maybe that is your argument to why maybe he does need to have some competition, or why he does maybe need to move on from the Vikings. I don't know. Maybe you're being a little bit irrational. The last time, we were super irrational about a kicker. Well, maybe not we, but Mike Zimmer. The last time that happened, he let a kicker go that is now considered one of the best in all of football now.
Ugh.
And so, that's tough. It's like, dang, man, if you would have just had a little bit more patience, maybe, you'd be okay. And this kicker situation wouldn't have been a situation. It was just tough, man. I remember sitting in, my lovely place here when I got here to Minnesota. I had just gotten here, and it was my first day at care the next day when they played the Arizona Cardinals, and I was sitting there watching. I was like, man, they're battling, they're doing work against these dudes, man. Wow, looking good. Gonna be exciting covering this team. And that kick happened, and I was just like, oh no, did that really just happen? Oh no.
Mm.
And then,
Welcome to Minnesota, Reggie.
I know. And then a few games later, Joseph, has another inexplicable miss. But then, against the who was that? The Lions. He
Yep.
made the kick to send them
Yep.
home after it looked like maybe the Vikings were about to mess that whole thing up. And he was the hero. So like, he's made big kicks, but he's also missed big kicks. But I mean, you look at it, like you said, 33 of 38 from, I mean, you only miss 5. Like, that's a pretty good percentage. You do scoff at the 36 out of 40 extra points, but you're just like, man, look, the dude has only missed in his career 8 field goals, like through 33 games. Like, that's not bad. That's not bad. But when you are missing field goals at the most inopportune times, then that's when you have a problem. But I think it was funny talking to some of my teammates last year about Greg Joseph, because it was like 50 and over, he's nails. He's nails. Put him in the game, let him get it. 53, 54, 55, like, he's nails. But anything under 50, you're like, what's going on? I don't understand here.
Right.
What's the deal? It seemed that this would be an easier kick, but I don't know here. So I think the competition is good, but I think ultimately he'll probably win out in this battle.
If you remember in that Cardinals game, by the way, Reggie, Vikings had the ball down at about the 25 with like 40 seconds left. And instead of trying to just be aggressive and get every yard they could, they kneeled the ball twice with that offense. Dalvin Cook, Kirk Cousins, Jefferson, they kneeled the ball twice. And that goes back to what Eric Kendrick said at the end of the season. You can't have a fear-based organization. I'll just never forget that. Why not get every single yard you can? Yeah, he should make a 38-yarder, no doubt. He should.
Yeah.
But why not set your players up for success and try to get every yard you could, especially with that kind of offense.
Like a chip shot. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah, fans will be quick to tell you, Reggie, Vikings have a long history with kicking issues, so this job will be on close watch throughout training camp, rest assured.